Hey folks, Brewska here, and I am currently on the road touring this amazing country we call Australia. I am situated currently at Silverton, which is about 800 plus kilometres west of Sydney, and it is definitely the outback. It is approaching 40 degrees here, and I'm sure that's around about 100 something degrees Fahrenheit. Little fact about Silverton, Mad Max 2, or Road Warrior to our US audience, was filmed here at Silverton, starring Mel Gibson, back in 1983. So Silverton, a lot of amazing history, and I've captured some awesome sequences which I can't wait to share with you all. But for now, I've got a little tip on remote, and this is my favorite remote now. This is called the Aputure remote, and this is what I use on my Nikon D90, and I also use it on the D7000 for long time-lapse sequences. I just want to go through really quickly on some of the ways, or some of the interface of the remote. And what I find is really important to know your gear. And sometimes you can be in pressure situations, and if you don't know your gear, you can really screw up a job. And if it's a commercial job, then that's going to be a real problem for you. So I just want to quickly go through the Aputure remote. If I didn't say it, it's my favorite remote. So just quickly, we've got across the top the interface. So starting from your left to right, at the top here we've got delay. And what delay means is you could set it up so that you don't start your interval set or your photo shoot for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long you want. So the delay is you can delay the time that your interval timing starts. So it might be, you might set it for a sunrise so you don't have to get up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and you can set the timer to go off at the right time for sunrise. So you can set it up at the night before and put this on delay, and it'll start at the right time for you. Next along the line is long, and what that means is basically that's the time for your exposure. So if you have a long exposure like stars, or a dark situation and you need a long exposure, this is the time you set for your long exposure. So it can be minutes, it can be hours. I wouldn't recommend hours, but usually around about, for star shots anywhere between sort of 20 and 30 seconds is what I usually use anyway. So yep, and the next one along is interval, INTVL, and that's the time between shots. So depending on your subject, it might be clouds, it might be people, it could be anything. This is the time between each photo taken. So usually for clouds, it's anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds. If it's a slower subject like stars, maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So that's the time between shots. So that's the important one. That's the one I usually use for, or default to, if I don't need the delay or the long. So next one along is N for the number of shots. Now Aputure goes up to 399 shots, but there is a way of setting it so it's unlimited, and that's the 2 dashes. If you set it for the 2 dashes, then that is your unlimited shooting. So for a lot of cameras, you don't have the opportunity to shoot unlimited intervals, so this is a good little tool to have for that. And lastly, we have the musical note, which basically is the sound the remote makes between shots. So every time the interval timer goes off between shots, or for each shot, it'll make a little beeping sound or a countdown sound. So if you're doing a star shot, or a shot where you need to be quiet, you can actually turn that off. So you're able to do that in the settings as well. So moving down into the buttons here, we've got top left, we've got the light. So if you're in a dark situation again, you can just hit that and it'll display the interface, or it'll highlight the interface with a light there in the backlight. You can also hold that button down and it will lock your settings. So once you're finished and you're ready to go, you can lock your settings. It just helps you if you accidentally knock your remote. So if you do accidentally knock your remote, you won't change the settings, or you won't stop the time lapse happening. So that's handy to have. And then across the top right, we have timer start, timer stop. So basically that is obviously starting your timer. So once you're ready to go, you have the settings set, you just hit the start button and you're good to go. The middle button with the navigation, this is what you use to navigate across and change your settings. So you'll see the little line going across the top there. It helps you, or it shows you which settings you're changing. So as you're moving across, it'll show you, and then when you're ready to set a certain setting like interval, just hit the set button and then you can navigate across left or right to change the minutes, hours or seconds. Very easy to set up. And then lastly we have the button. This is just your release button, so if you want to do one shot, it's quite easy to just do one shot. And if you wanted to do one shot with holding down or holding open the shutter for more than 30 seconds, or a bulb shot, then you just push that up and that'll hold the shutter down and make noise as well. So to change any of these, just navigate across the top of the selections, navigate to the one you want. So I've selected interval, hit the set button and that will allow you to change the time. So navigate now across to minutes, seconds, or back again to hours. Once you have the point you want, which is seconds, up and down sets the time. And when you're happy with the time you've got, hit set button again and you're good to go. It's the same for the others. Anytime you want to change the delay, hit the set button and then hit the set button again and you're good. So that's the Aputure remote. The only tidbit I have with this remote is there's no off button. So basically all I do is remove one of the batteries, swap it over, and then when I'm ready to travel, I just put it in the bag like that, so I don't waste any batteries. Lasts for quite a few shoots. So that's my remote, Aputure. I recommend it. And Happy New Year everyone.